The situation in the Middle East becomes graver by the day. Let's go straight to Tel Aviv to join GBNews' security editor, Mark White. Mark, good evening. So last night, as I understand it, the first serious Israeli incursions into Gaza. What scale was that actually on?
Well, pretty significant. The largest incursion into northern Gaza since the war began, with dozens of tanks, bulldozers used to break through that border fence to allow those tanks and soldiers into Gaza. This was an operation that was aimed at taking out Hamas defensive positions. So when that eventual ground war takes place, then hopefully there will not be as many traps waiting for the Israeli Defence Forces. But they know, listen, when they go into Gaza, it's going to be very difficult, very bloody, and a long campaign. And it's been quite an eventful day here in Tel Aviv as well. Today we had two very large rocket barrages into this city, the fourth large rocket barrage into Tel Aviv in just 3 days. We had to go to the shelter a couple of times just to give you a flavour of what it was like. I just want to play you a little bit of the sound and the pictures of the sirens going off in central Tel Aviv. Take a look at this. And you know, Nigel, this is really quite a remarkable system, the alert system and the Iron Dome system that the Israelis have, because it's so precise that actually rockets can come in to the south or the east of Tel Aviv, and the alert doesn't come off here in central Tel Aviv, but it does go off if they are targeted specifically at your location, as they were twice today. And we know that although the Iron Dome missile defense system is incredibly accurate, it doesn't get everything. And when you get a very significant barrage coming in, like we did the last few days, two rockets did make it through. They struck apartment blocks. 4 people were injured last night. Another building was very badly damaged today. Luckily, no one was injured there.
Mark, you know, what I see on the international stage, given that we're now told there have been 7,000 people that have been killed in Gaza, we're told, by reputable news sources that many of them are children, is that we see from the European Union, the United Nations, everywhere, even the countries that most strongly tend to support Israel, are beginning to get slightly nervous. Are the Israeli government beginning to feel a little bit lonely?
Well, I don't think they're feeling lonely quite yet, but they're absolutely aware, Nigel, that it was always going to be the case that a couple of weeks on from this absolutely horrific attack that took place on October the 7th, that the images coming out of Gaza would be the images that would then dominate the news agenda. Hamas knows this as well. Hamas is well used to putting its rocket launchers and other terrorist infrastructure right among the civilian population here. So when Israel responds to the rockets being launched here towards Israel, then often civilians are caught up in that, and there is a heavy toll. But that very cynically plays into the Hamas playbook as well, because they know they get the international community then piling the pressure on Israel, calling for a ceasefire, where Israel is adamant there will be no ceasefire. They are determined to get into Gaza at some point. There is, we believe, a delay in the ground war to allow the Americans to get their missile defense systems up and running around the region, because they know there'll be retaliatory attacks, not just on Israel, but on Israel's allies. But once that is in place, Israel will go ahead, according to the Prime Minister, with this ground war, and their stated aim is to destroy Hamas, and they need to do it. They know they need to do it on the ground, Nigel, because the fact that we're still getting very large barrages of rockets coming over shows you that there's still a capability, a capacity with Hamas, and you can only really deal with that by going in and dealing with them on the ground.
Mark White, thank you as ever for your report direct from Tel Aviv.